Hey guys! I decided to film outside today just because it was absolutely gorgeous and it's really warm, like I'm in my shorts and everything. And I just wanted to give you a little more information from my first video. This is hopefully going to be the last, I would say, downer video, just because the first video, you have to get all of this kind of stuff out of the way first. So that's like the introduction of the channel, talking about what I want to get out of the channel and what I want to do. And then this one is going to be my anxiety story. So it is how I developed anxiety and panic disorder and agoraphobia. So let's start. It's always been a pretty big part of my life to be a really big worrier. I kind of learned it from my parents, where they were constantly worried about things like money and food. So it was definitely a learned trait where I was constantly seeing them worrying. Then I went into school, and what happened in school was not so much worrying, but it was that I was very apathetic toward it. So the issue with school was not so much that I was like bullied or anything. It was more along the lines that I just did not get good grades, like ever. And that came with a lot of teachers who would give me the inspirational talk of like, oh, you could have done so much better. I'm not necessarily disappointed in you, but a lot of my report cards said, Olivia is such a wonderful girl to have in class. Too bad her grades don't reflect her as a person. So that followed me along until my 12th grade when I graduated. When I graduated, I moved in with my oldest sister in Ontario and got my first job. This job, it was just a normal part-time job. It wasn't that hard, but I got my first taste of not necessarily anxiety, but a little bit of panic one night because I was closing the store. And one thing that you need to know about the store, when I was hired, I was told never to worry about the actual condition and look of the store, because it was a really small location. So what would happen was the days when we would get stock, the boxes would just pile up on the floor because we didn't have enough room in our storage room. So I was told never to worry about that. So I closed up the store, and the next day was my off day, and I got a call from my assistant manager, and she explained to me that I needed to get into the store ASAP. My district manager was making her visit, and apparently she was not happy with me. So I got in, and I first see my manager, and she explains to me that my district manager had just left when I got in, and that she was going to write me up because I had left boxes on the storeroom floor. And I was not happy about that, so I started panicking, and that's my first taste of panic. But then the rest of the job, I mean, it was the same old in retail, like grumpy customers, crappy store. I was living away from home. It was not a really enjoyable experience, but I did have my enjoyable days. So then I moved back to where I currently am now, and I got another job at another accessory store. And this one was very different from my first one, because I was initially hired as a part-timer, and then there were some complications with my interim manager, because the manager was on maternity leave, so we had an interim manager. There was some complications because she started becoming very personal at work, and it would start affecting the way that she was working, where customers were complaining about her specifically, and they would ask for the manager, get her, and then ask for somebody that was a little more competent. So she ended up getting fired, and because our manager was on maternity leave, they needed to find another replacement until the manager could come back, and that was in like almost a year that they needed a manager or an assistant manager. So they looked around, they couldn't find anyone, and finally they asked me to be the interim assistant manager. I was 18 when I was asked to do this position. So I was the youngest woman in the company to be asked to be in a managerial position. So I consulted my friends and I consulted my family, and they all agreed that it would be an amazing opportunity for me and that I should take it and that it would look great on a resume. So I took it stupidly, and one thing led to another. I was totally not ready for it. My whole staff really did not appreciate me and really didn't enjoy the fact that I was an 18-year-old managing them and bossing them around. So I wasn't really ready for the position. Because I was really young, I had a really hard time separating myself from my job, so I would take these stresses home and they would eat at me, I would have nightmares, and eventually I just didn't want to go into work anymore. So that became a bit of a problem. Anyway, my manager, who was on maternity leave, came back, and things didn't really get any better. She didn't really like me, and I didn't really like her because I didn't like the way that she worked. And I was demoted back to a part-timer, and I mean like extreme part-timer. I went from something like 40 hours to 5 hours, and I was just not having that. So I ended up leaving, and I got more jobs, and found out that I really hate retail. I am one of those people that really hates retail. As I said, I got more jobs, and they were the same old, and I found out that that's not really what I wanted to do, so I applied to university at the age of 20. I got accepted, but I got accepted on a few terms where I had to be part of something called the Transitions Program, and that's because my average from high school was below 70, which was the requirement to be in the university itself, so I was not happy about that. It just meant that instead of 5 courses, which is a full course load, I could only take 3 courses. I was still enrolled as a full-time student, but it was going to be hard, especially because I didn't have some of the prerequisites that I needed to be in some of the classes. But I accepted it anyway. During my first year of university, I became very, very anti-people, and I stayed inside all the time, and I didn't do my homework when I was supposed to, and I was very apathetic toward that as well. I didn't really enter with a very good state of mind, just because I wanted it, I really did, and I didn't take it seriously. Even though I did at the beginning, I took it very seriously at the beginning. I barely passed first semester, and then was given a little letter that said that if I didn't do better in my second semester, I would be put on academic probation or suspension in the fall coming up. And that did not make things better. I know that it's supposed to like kick you into high gear and make you want to do better, but it didn't. It really put me into a fear cycle of I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. And if you keep repeating it, then yeah, it's going to happen. So I got my second semester marks just recently, and yeah, I did. I failed 2 of my courses out of 3. I know, I failed 2 out of 3. I'm still actually considering whether or not I'm going to go back in the fall, just because I don't know if I'm at the mental stability that I need to be at right now. I don't want to end up wasting more money and then failing and even like disappointing myself. That's the worst thing that you can do, is end up disappointing yourself. During my first year at university as well, my anxiety took a whole new level, where I ended up being prescribed on Ativan because I was having full-blown panic attacks. Like, heart was racing, I was getting sweaty palms, I was being really scared. I almost passed out a few times, and it was really scary. And then on top of that, I have test anxiety, and what was happening was that my tests were not reflecting me as a student. So I was doing really great on assignments, but really, really bad on tests, and it was bringing my average down. So I accept that. I accept that as part of my experience through university, but it's definitely made me rethink what I'm going to do coming in the fall. Hey guys! So my camera's memory card got all filled up, and when I went in to go and edit, found out that a whole bunch of stuff that I had filmed was not being filmed because the memory card was full. So I just wanted to give you a little more information about my channel. I'll be putting out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays will be things like this, where we tell stories or we talk about advice and stuff. Wednesdays will be like DIY-esque, where we'll be doing things like dream boards and wish jars, and we'll be doing some activities found in the Anxiety and Phobia workbook. And then Fridays will be things like this, where we go for walks and we have fun outside and we go and we do fun things and we get over agoraphobia together. And I want that. I want you guys to come with me, and I want to get over this together, which is the point of my channel. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. Bye!